generate a delicious recipe.
So to make it a little easier out at the campsite,
Roma tomatoes, which are boiling.
you could prepare this at home and bring it.
Over in this corner, we have some onions and some minced garlic. I'm going to take a portion of it, cook it outside in this clay pot.
Stick them in the flour. Whoops.
Worcestershire. Take some of that broth.
Once in a while I'll stir it.
My hope is that the clay pot will add a nice flavor to the stew. All right, AI. Generate a delicious recipe for beef stew. Here's a hearty and delicious beef stew recipe that's perfect for a comforting meal. This recipe, which has been in the family for, say, about 30 seconds, requires some onions and some minced garlic, some carrots and red peppers, some beef broth, tomato paste, and I'll put all the exact measurements in the description, a little red wine, Worcestershire sauce, salt, black pepper, rosemary, thyme, bay leaves, avocado oil, flour mixed with salt and pepper. On the stove we have some Roma tomatoes, which are boiling, so I can remove the skin because you don't want that skin floating up to the top of the beef stew. And over here I have some avocado oil in a pan. Over in this corner we have the beef cut up in 1-inch chunks about. And I know all the stew is not going to fit in this clay pot, but I'm going to take a portion of it, cook it outside in this clay pot, and the rest will cook in the kitchen.
So to make it a little easier out at the campsite, you could prepare this at home and bring it, place it in this clay pot, and just slowly cook it over the campfire.
So I brought these to a boil. I poured the hot water out, and I'm running cold water in it. I put a little bit of ice in there to cool it off more. Now we'll chop up this tomato. We'll get rid of the stem first. There. Next, I'll take some chunks of beef here, stick them in the flour. Whoops. We don't want them to be so crowded that we can't flip them, so we won't overcrowd the pan. We'll do a couple batches. I've got the heat on medium. We want that to turn a nice golden brown. Now that the beef is done, we'll set that aside and add the aromatic. It's going to heat down a little bit. Onions and garlic. Next we'll add the tomato paste. And the tomatoes. This part is called building the base. Next we'll add a cup of red wine. And we'll add the beef broth. And then 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. Not Worcester, but Worcestershire. 2 bay leaves. 2 teaspoons of thyme. That's about 2 teaspoons. I have a lot of thyme on my hands. 1 teaspoon of rosemary. Let's see. Give that a good stir. We might have to add some water because I think we only had 3 cups of beef broth. So I'm going to add 1 more cup of water. And we're going to bring that to a boil. But before we do, we're going to add the beef back into the broth. Now we'll bring it to a boil and then we'll let it simmer for an hour and a half. Oh, I almost forgot. The clay pot. We want to put some in the clay pot. So I'll dig out some meat. Got a bay leaf there. It's already boiling. So we'll take some of that broth. We're going to bring this down to a simmer. There we go. And I'll just wait for that to come to a boil and then turn it on low to simmer. Boiling now, so once in a while I'll stir it and I'll just let that simmer. Turn the heat down, simmer it for an hour and a half. You know what? I decided to just cook it all in the clay pot because I think it'll all fit. It'll taste a lot better this way. So the stew's been simmering for an hour and a half, and it's time to add the vegetables. Since I added all that, the remaining part that was in the house into the clay pot, there's no room to add the vegetables. So if I was out camping, I'd have to plan for the vegetables because it's a small pot, probably enough for just 1 or 2 people to have a decent meal. Maybe with 2 kids. So I'm going to take what's in the pot and bring it inside and cook the vegetables on the stove. My hope is that the clay pot will add a nice flavor to the stew. I'm not sure, but we'll see. I think I'm going to need more broth. Been a couple hours, so let's check it out. Oh yeah. That looks good. I think it needs to thicken up a bit. Nice and tender carrots. Oh, I might try a little bit now. I'll have a few crackers with that. Amen. All right, well, let's get this out of the way.
Let's try it. Start off with the beef. Yum. Try some beef here. The beef is still a little bit chewy, so I'm gonna let that simmer for a while more. And it actually, I think it's stuck to the clay pot. I've noticed with the clay pot that you have to mix it. You have to be on top of it and mix it so it doesn't stick like pretty frequently. So that's a disadvantage of the clay pot. The taste is, it's a little bit more smoky, I guess you'd say. The vegetables are delicious. Just the meat needs to get a little bit more tender. Now, one of the downfalls of my personality is that I'm never satisfied. So it's not the best I've ever had, so there's definitely room for improvement, but not bad, not bad.